Oh man. So like I watched 99 Homes twice, but in
Mm.
between, sort of both in between and then after the second time, I watched this really shitty movie. Um
Which one?
it's called Dark Crimes, and I only put it on because I was using Tubi. Do you know about Tubi, the website?
No, no, I haven't. You mentioned it, but I've
It's
actually never used it.
it probably sounds like one of those like illegal shitty streaming sites, but it's actually
Kind of
not.
does.
It's like Netflix or whatever, but it's free because you just have to sit through commercials as if you're like watching television. It's not quite as bad as like if you're watching regular cable TV, I think. Like the frequency and then how long the commercial breaks are, but anyway, that's the reason it's free, because like otherwise it's like, anyway, they've got like in a normal mainstream movies, and then they've got like a bunch of like B movies and like cult movies and stuff. And anyway, I only went on there because I saw, oh, watch 99 Homes for free on Tubi, and I was like, is this for real? And I was like, am I gonna have to like put any credit card info in here? And I didn't. So anyway, that's how I watched it both times, which was like its own sort of added to the experience in a weird way, where I was watching all this like depressing, very realistic shit about like the decay of America, and then it would like cut to commercial of like these fucking happy fake people in their nice homes, like selling a one of the most weird one of the weirder ones was it like went to like it was like a Lowe's commercial, and it had some like ridiculous voiceover. It was like something like, the American dream is not real, it's American dreams that are real. It's like, what? Pluralized, it's real. But then after that, it said something like, the home is the heart of American family, or some like, you know, stupid platitude. But I'd like just watched, like families being like horribly like, yeah, ripped away from their houses. Anyway.
This is kind of random, and I didn't see you share it with me. No, American commercials are weird every time I see them, by the way. But I was looking at Forbes today, and I noticed. Sorry, I was just pulling this up. I should share it to Cow that it seems like Forbes and a lot of real estate places are expecting another like housing crash full of like evictions again, because the housing market's been doing so bad during COVID times, and people have been taking loans out against their house and other stuff.
Yeah, there's articles really recent that I saw today. I was trying to do a little research when I had any spare seconds of time. And yeah, it's like they're expecting it to be like a worse housing crisis. And it's not going to be in the same it's not going to be the same mechanisms that caused the last one, but it's going to be because of just people not being able to pay their fucking rent and their mortgages. And what I understand is that as of right now, as of 10:49 p.m. March 18th, 2021, the federal moratorium on evictions is supposed to expire March 31st.
Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, they could
Jesus.
extend it, but it's like when they extended it, they only extended it for such a short time. Now I feel like I should look that up again, because maybe I'm wrong. But
that's nuts.
well, the only other thing, like, which you and I have talked about before, is that like even the federal moratorium that was placed, they didn't actually do that. It didn't go into effect until like September. And even when it did, like, remember you were like going through the list of like every state?
Yeah,
They
I
all have
remember going
like
through
different, like some of them follow the guidelines and then other ones don't, and like they don't really have to because it's basically still becomes a states' rights thing. So like each state has its own stupid laws about evictions, and like one of the articles I saw today was like local judge in whatever the fuck state, I forget which state it was, says eviction moratorium like unconstitutional or some shit. And it just meant like, okay, kicking people out of their houses. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Fucking sucks.
Right here. This is an article from 2 days ago. A major eviction moratorium ends March 31st. Then what? So, I don't know. Housing stuff gets so hard to read because like, I don't know. I was like trying to read just about the 2008 housing crisis today, and like it just hurt my brain. I mean, I was like working today, so I couldn't like really focus on it anyway. But I know that like Matt Taibbi has like broken it down is pretty simply, but even the way he does it, it's still kind of like you got to like define all your terms because it's just like all this terminology that like, you know, the average person doesn't know what the fuck it means. I saw some interview with him talking about when he had to like basically teach himself like like how to understand what happened in 2008. And like, he was so worried that like the articles he had written, like were just going to like, didn't make sense. And that like experts were going to say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But I guess he like kind of got the essence of it. I think I started off saying I watched this really shitty movie the other day.
What was the shitty movie?
Dark Crimes. And okay, so the reason I watched, I was scrolling through this Tubi site and it caught my eye because there was like bearded Jim Carrey on this movie called Dark Crimes that I'd never heard of. I was like, what the fuck is this? Is this Jim Carrey doing some like edgy thriller? And it's so much worse than even that. So I just like hit play on it. Like the first scene is like, it's immediately just like edgelord shit. It's like this like dank, like basement, like sex club, I guess. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, like S&M shit going on or whatever. And, it's like, and then it like cuts to like Jim Carrey, like, I don't know, like just moping around with his big gray beard. And like, I'm like watching this and just like hating it silently as I'm watching it. Like every second of it, like immediately I was like, this sucks. This is terrible. 'Cause it was just like, it was like someone trying to do like a David Fincher movie, but with like no sense of like a story or like what makes a good movie. It's just like trying to make like moody lighting and stuff. And then even Jim Carrey's acting, and I think he's a great actor in general, but it was bad. And then like I kept watching it, and then I turned it off. Like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way through, and then I watched 99 Homes again. I was like, good movie. And then for some reason I was like, I felt compelled. I was like, I got to see what happens in this dumb Jim Carrey movie. So I started watching it again, but then I like opened up the Wikipedia page on it and was like trying to get some backstory. Like, why is this movie? Why does this exist? And it was like it was a Polish film, because I realized like they're in Poland and like everyone's speaking English with like accents, but like, and I'm like, but then I'm like, it started making me mad. I'm like, why is this American Jim Carrey like grizzled? He's a detective. He's playing like the grizzled, like modern noir detective kind of guy. And I'm like, they're not explaining why this American guy is like a high ranking detective in Poland. And then I realized, because his voice started to sound weird at certain points, that he was the whole time supposed to be doing some like Polish accent, but speaking English. And it was just so, it was like, I was embarrassed for him. And then I had to remind myself how rich he is and what a sweet life he has. But I was like, this is so embarrassing for you, man. It was a really bad movie. I got all the way through it though, and it had another good actress. It had an Charlotte Gainsbourg, isn't it? And
the mom's a good actress too.
Huh?
Nothing.
You're talking about 99 Homes. I'm still talking about the dumb Jim Carrey edgy thriller movie that was god awful. It has like a 0% on the all the aggregators.
I can't watch Jim Carrey. He drives me nuts, man.
What? I thought you said you liked some of his movies just like the other day.
Did I?
You did. You really liked. You said I like the Truman Show.
Maybe I said something like that.
We were talking about like Man on the Moon and stuff. Well, we were watching Jurassic Park movies.
I don't think I said all that.
You did. It's on tape. I'll roll it back.
Sure?
I'm positive.
Oh no.
I think he's good. But like in this movie, what was funny about watching this movie is this movie's biggest problem, besides being just shitty, was that it was shitty and it took itself really seriously. And yeah, there's like a really uncomfortable sex scene where like the camera's just, it's like POV of this woman like looking at Jim Carrey like while he's fucking, and he's just like trying to be all intense, and like all I see is his like, I just keep picturing his like classic like comedic like facial contortions as he's like having an orgasm, and I just started like kind of snickering like. And then there was one part too where he just, I don't even know why, like I had kind of like I was in and out, I wasn't really fully paying attention, but he just starts like screaming and crying for some reason, but it's just, it seemed like him doing like a comedic like no. Anyway, I sort of recommend people watch it just for how it's remarkably bad. Yeah. Apparently that's the movie that got him to grow the big philosopher beard though. Like he grew the beard because of that movie, and then he liked it and kept it. And it also has a weird connection to his like weird turn of late where he like says all this baffling mumbo jumbo philosophy shit in interviews and stuff. Cause like, basically the plot of the movie was like, there's this edgy, like, novelist, and these real life crimes are like exactly the same as the crimes that he wrote about in his novel. And like there's like parts where this novelist is talking about like the meaningless of everything and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh man, is this the movie that like turned Jim Carrey into his kind of new annoying self? Anyway, I watched a good movie. We should talk about the good movie.
But yeah, I wonder if Jim Carrey just had a moment where he wasn't annoying, and then like he just decided to go back to being annoying after like, you know, the taste of success. Or sorry, the lack of, no, I guess he had success. I don't fucking know what I'm trying to say.
He's like the most successful comedic actor of all time, probably.
Can't use my words. Can't think. Can't be a person. Sorry.
I mean, he's good in Eternal Sunshine. I think that's the movie that made like snobs like me and like take him more seriously. But Truman Show too was good. That was the movie that was supposed to be his like, oh look, he can do drama. He can do stuff that's not wacky comedy. Anyway, should we talk about the movie? Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe. It is March 18th, 2021. It's 11:05 p.m. Post-work time. Korea Standard Time. And we're here to discuss a little movie called 99 Homes, which takes us deep into the housing crisis and the aftermath of the housing crisis of 2008.
This is a movie I'm still amazed that I'd never heard of until yesterday when you brought it up to me, by the way. I have no clue how it slipped under my radar. I like the cast. I liked the plot. I remember being very invested in like following the housing crisis when it was happening. I do think it came out during a time when I wasn't watching much of anything, which is the only like explanation I have for myself for why I did not hear about this movie. I feel like there's this period between like, it came out in 2015, but there's like a period between like 2012 to maybe 2014 or 15 where I wasn't really watching any movie whatsoever.
That's weird.
It is kind of weird. I know.
I mean, I'm a big movie head, I guess. Well, yeah, so just like the basic stats on this movie before we get into what it's about. So yeah, it's listed as a 2014 drama, but yeah, it looks like it was like hitting like the festivals then, but it really came out in the US in like 2015. Anyway, it's directed by Ramin Bahrani, I believe is how his name is said. I'd never heard of him before. I kind of want to see some of his other movies now after this. Watched a little bit of an interview with him. He seems like an interesting filmmaker. And he co-wrote it with someone else, Amir Naderi. Don't know who that is either. It's starring Andrew Garfield of, I guess people mostly think of him as in those new Spider-Man movies, which I never saw because they looked stupid to me, and I heard they were bad as well from like various sources. I don't know. Did you like him?
They're not good, but I liked Andrew Garfield in them.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I've seen him in a couple other things.
He might be my. This is not an original thought at all because I've definitely heard other people say this, but he might be my favorite like Spider-Man, as in when he's Spider-Man. But
when he's in the suit and you can't see him acting.
Yeah. I think he's too cool to be Peter Parker though.
Yeah, he seems kind of like a cool guy. I saw him in a sort of cool guy role in this movie called Under the Silver Lake, which I recommend. It's not like a perfect movie, but it's kind of fun. It's got like Inherent Vice, Big Lebowski, like in that sort of tradition of like an LA movie where a guy, kind of a fuck up guy who likes drugs, goes on this like kind of weird odyssey, trying to solve some mystery. But 99 Homes also has, and this is the main reason this actor, Michael Shannon, is also I would call him the co-star of the movie, really. I love Michael Shannon. I think he's an amazing actor. I'd kind of watch him do just about anything.
What else is he in? I feel like I've seen him in a ton of stuff, but I'm like one of those people that's face blind and like watching him. God, I love this guy.
He has such a distinct face, though. But let's see. I mean, I first noticed him in the show Boardwalk Empire. Did you ever see that?
I saw parts of it and I really liked it
It's
because I like Steve Buscemi, who I think's in that show.
yeah,
Unless I'm getting really confused all of a sudden.
He's the main guy in that. But
Okay.
Michael Shannon plays this FBI agent who's like trying to bust like the bootleggers and stuff, but he's like got this totally fucked up psychology and like I don't know, no spoilers, but just like a lot of weird stuff ends up happening with him in that. And I was like immediately like, who the fuck is this weird, awesome actor? And he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's in a good movie called Nocturnal Animals. And
I've seen that movie.
now I'm kind of blanking on other stuff he's been in. But anyway, Michael Shannon is awesome. He's kind of terrifying in a way too. He's good at being a villain. Oh wait, we've talked about this before, man. He's in the movie, the cycling movie, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie.
He is in the cycling movie.
He's the bad guy.
You're
Premium
right. I didn't think about
Rush.
I fucking love that movie too.
We
like
literally
cycling.
we literally talked about this on the Jurassic Park commentaries, but
Is Michael Shannon also in a Jurassic Park movie?
no,
No.
not yet.
I mean,
He would
This'll
have to
probably
play like the
upset you.
T-Rex or something.
actually, I could be saying something dumb real quick.
Go for it.
This is my face blindness, but the mom, I haven't looked up the cast names. For some reason, I'm real bad with actors' names. I do know who Andrew Garfield is because I know who Spider-Man is. But
You should read my text messages too, man. I said her name to you.
Laura Dern, right?
Yes, Dern.
That's Jurassic Park girl.
Yes, in
The whole movie I was watching it, I was like, God, she looks a lot like the Jurassic Park woman. And then it is just confirmed. So this is after she's been to the island. She's quit her job as a paleontologist to live in her family home in Orlando. And what's about to happen?
Well, your timeline's kind of out of whack because she like probably had her son when she was like a teenager, which she mentions at one point in the movie. But we should get into it. Enough dicking around. So yeah, those are the three like biggest, most consequential actors in the movie, I guess, or most famous ones at least. Although there's another one I'll save as a sort of a fun surprise who pops up later. The movie begins very with a real kick in the face. With you see a body that's like sitting on the toilet in a small bathroom, and there's blood everywhere. And then you kind of pan out, and we see Michael Shannon. And it's revealed kind of slowly that like he's been there to evict a family from their house, and the father of the family has just blown his brains out in the bathroom while his family was there.
I'm a fucking idiot.
And
I totally did not understand that was a suicide scene.
what did you think happened? Spontaneous combustion. The first shot is like a pretty like lingering shot on this like grisly suicide.
Yeah, I know.
So what did you think it was?
I wasn't sure.
You're just kind of like, yep, there's some blood there. Like it's just not registering in your mind.
That's exactly what my brain saw it as. It's like, oh, blood.
I mean,
that's gonna be one of these movies.
But then like, okay, so then Michael Shannon like takes a phone call, and he's just kind of like
pissed. He's
like
pissed throughout the whole movie, by the way.
He's always kind of angry.
He's pissed about being rich, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, he brings a lot of depth and nuance to the character, I think, as Michael Shannon does, because he's fucking awesome. But he just like, he takes this phone call, and he's like, it's not clear exactly who he's talking to. It's probably someone in his line of work. And he's just like rattling off kind of like pure numbers and like business speak. And he looks like upset, but he's not upset because he's just seen a suicide necessarily. He's like upset because it's like disrupted his flow of like trying to like flip houses as fast as possible. I mean, that's what we kind of realize as the movie goes on, at least. But the cop there asks him he's like, I need an official statement on this. And he's kind of just like, he starts making this like sarcastic kind of joke about like, oh, well, me and the guys came over with 2 pizzas to try to surprise him. And the wife was expecting Chinese, so he blew his brains out. And like he's saying it like an obvious, like sarcastic, pissed off way. And then the cop says something like, you know, you're talking about a man who just killed himself. And Michael Shannon kind of turns around angrily and says like, basically like, the man's dead. I can't bring him back to life. What the fuck do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? And I think I wrote down exactly these words like, he says the tragic absurdity of this fucked up situation, but it's saying like what would any statement I give do to like help that, you know?
Yeah, like what could I possibly do to make this better?
And there's also his way of just being
on this.
Yeah, and it's also just his way of being like, fuck off, I'm busy. Like I've got all these like moving parts, you know? You realize like all he does with his life is like try to consolidate like real estate and make as much money as possible. And I think we hear him like talking to what's presumably his wife, and he says something. I thought it was interesting because it goes into more of his character later, but he says something like, turn off the TV and keep the girls away from the internet. So he's like insulating his family from reality. And I mean, like, okay, so that's like kind of a normal thing, I guess. Like, we don't want our little kids to see like that their father was at the scene of this suicide on the news. But it just sort of, maybe because I watched it twice, like throughout the movie, he's like always kind of like insulating himself like from reality. This isn't my problem. Like this is all things outside of my control that are causing this fucked up shit to happen.
He definitely has like that villain-esque, like he justifies all of his actions, and like he's really good at it. He's really good at just being like, oh, no, I'm doing everything within like the legal bounds of the law. I didn't choose for the law to be fucked up like this, but since it is, I'm just going to be part of the system and make money the way that, you know, the system's set up to be made for money from. And all those people getting fucked by it, well, that's not my fault. It's their fault for not like understanding how the system works. They're trying to live honest lives, and by living honest lives, they're actually breaking the law or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's like, take your complaints up with like the government and with these giant, you know, corporations. Because the thing is, as much as he is like a pro-business like despot, like he talks a lot of shit about like the system. Like he knows it's fucked up and he hates it. Like he despises it. He's all about like ripping off the government, which we'll kind of get into as we go along. But then we meet. I'm just gonna call them their actors' names. I didn't really even. I don't know if that's just easier for me. I don't know. I'm gonna keep saying Michael Shannon and.
I remember
Andrew
like
Garfield.
Andrew's character's name was
something Nash.
It was Nash, but for some reason I keep forgetting Carver.
Oh yeah, Carver. Yeah,
Carver Realty.
It's just easier for me to remember their acting names.
Actors' names.
Yeah.
Well, you know, for me, it's really easy to remember actors' names. I've never had a problem with this in my entire life.
I just have like these notes. It just says AG and MS and LD everywhere. So we meet AG, Andrew Garfield, the younger man. He's like doing construction work, and immediately his boss like comes in and says like put down the tools, like stop working. This project is like fucking done. And I was kind of confused at first, but like he explains something. I forget exactly what he says. It's basically like they have the majority of like the what would you call it? Whatever, like the sort of like outer structure of a house built. But he says it's some financial reason is like given for like why it's not going to be going, like the deal's not going through. And he makes it clear that like all the work that this whole crew of people have done for 2 weeks, they're not getting a cent for. And it's like totally legal somehow. I mean, they don't go too deep into it, but it's just like we start off really quickly seeing like the little guy getting like fucked over pretty hard.
And we'll see a lot of that in the movie. Yeah,
then it jumps directly from that to him going to court to try to like beg for like just like some time to.
It's nuts that those cases were done in like 60 seconds.
Yeah, he's at court with his son, and like you know, the asshole attorney is like, the client hasn't made 3 payments on his mortgage, therefore we can like evict him. I mean, whatever you know, that's the reality of it. And the judge just doesn't give a shit, and he's like rushing everything along because, yeah, like you said, like and the director said in an interview too that they call these things like rocket dockets, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what they're called.
So
I've never actually sat through a rocket docket, but I've to share some personal stuff. When I was younger, my sister would get in a lot of trouble, so I'd often, for better or worse, and I went to court many times with her, or was dragged there for, you know, reasons. Judges are dicks and often will not listen. Like, even like say you pay a lawyer, your family has enough money to do that. It's just amazing how quick lawyers are and judges are, because they all fucking know each other. And it's like, I don't believe for the most part that judges ever hear cases. I think they come in there like predetermined on what they're going to do almost 99% of the time.
When it comes to stuff like this, for sure, like he says something to the effect like, and you know, like probably every person does, like Andrew Garfield starts like pleading, like he's explaining like, my one branch of my bank told me not to make the payments, and they never go into that, but like I can see some fucked up reason of like, I don't know, a bank just like giving you misinformation or whatever. He's like, one person at the bank told me not to make these payments, another person told me I had to make them. Like, it's just a big misunderstanding. And yeah, like it's clear from the judge's body language and the way he's talking, like he's decided before he even set eyes on anybody, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like kick all these people out of their houses, because that's the setup here. And he says something. He says like, I've got 40,000 other cases just like yours. And then he like actually has the cops like drag him out because he's not leaving immediately. Not really drag him out, but you know, whatever, like gently kind of guide him out. But anyway, so he's, but the judge says something like, you'll have 30 days to file an appeal like anybody else. And like, that's like kind of unclear language in a way, but in his mind, he wants it to mean, oh, I've got 30 days until they're going to try to kick me out of my place. And, but even that is like, you know, got to be really stressful. And he's just, you know, he just found out he'd worked for 2 weeks for no pay. And like, so we see his home where he's like a single dad. He has a son, like a young son, and his mom lives with them. His mom is Laura Dern.
He never talks about who his wife was, right?
Yeah, that's like never. It's for whatever reason. I think maybe just they didn't want to.
Yeah, I guess that's.
There's no reason to work it into the script. Like I think it's a pretty tight script. Like there's no real like.
There's no loose ends. The whole movie just like, it's kind of amazing how like it just carries you through the whole time, which makes it just a great thriller because like everything's just escalation.
Yeah.
As, in a way, it actually kind of reminded me of a noir film of just like this little guy just getting wrapped up in a worse and worse world as like, because it starts out with him like at first I thought this was going to be, I guess you had this feeling too, but at first you see Nash in court and you think the whole movie is going to be him fighting this and getting a lawyer and figuring out how to take it to the real estate companies and fight the banks. But that's not where it goes. But that's actually what I like going into it. That's like what I was expecting.
I wasn't, because like the one sentence like synopsis, which makes it sound really interesting, is like a man starts to work for the same person who evicted him from his home. And like, so I knew, I did I did know that he was going to like end up working for Michael Shannon. But yeah, it as far as like the genre goes, like I was just watching an interview with the director, and he said he was describing it as like a deal with the devil movie plus a thriller plus like a sort of like social message type movie. Yeah, the deal with the devil. I mean, that's the part that's coming up. One thing is that the just to add to the importance of the home, like what he says in the court is that was the home he grew up in. Like, so it's, you know, it's obviously, it's got like sentimental value, like more than just a normal, like I've lived here for 5 years. Like that's where he lived his whole life. And he said like, my mother's income is dependent upon having that home because she runs like a salon out of the house. And the mom is like kind of like naive. She's like, oh, everything will like work out. Like you've got 30 days. It'll be fine. And then basically like cut to like the next day and there's like a pounding on the door, and like Andrew Garfield does a great job at like looking kind of terrified in these moments. And like, he just doesn't want to answer the door because he can see like it's the cops. And so the whole like eviction scene itself is really weirdly tense.
It's tense and just like heartbreaking. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, Jesus, I could have pictured that happening to like my mom or someone very easily.
Yeah.
Like, it's very real.
Yeah, it's very real.
Believed it. Like, I believed the whole scene.
So yeah, there's this really, really tense scene. Michael Shannon, it sets up a lot of what's going to happen later in the movie, like kind of the by numbers way that Michael Shannon does these evictions. Like he basically has like kind of a script, and it's like he starts off like with a kind of like very, I'm sorry to say this, but you know, this kind of like apologetics, like empathizing like tone of voice. But then it like really quickly turns into like, fuck you, this isn't your house. Like at one point he just says, this isn't your house anymore. And as he's like walking in, and there's this whole sense of like violating people's sort of like personal space or whatever. Obviously, I mean, that's literally what's going on. But
it's literally what's happening.
But you can like feel it from Andrew Garfield's character and from Laura Dern. They're like, they try shutting the door on the cops, and the cops just like don't let it, like they keep it held open, and they just start walking into the house.
Oh man, the movie does such a great job of showing how little, just knowing from my experiences with the cops, which are not a lot, but I've had experiences. It's always amazing to me that people really do think cops are out there to protect you. Just because, like, in this movie, I think it's a great, like, just example of real life of how cops actually act when they're on the job. They do not care about people.
It's a lot of, like, realistic, like, weird, like, literally we're just following orders. It's more of that kind of, like, don't blame me, blame yourself, or blame the government, or whatever, you know? It's not our fault you took out this mortgage. And, like, yeah, they just become, like, they're trying to be mildly polite in the very, very, very beginning. And, like, Laura Dern and Andrew Garfield are, like, they're saying, like, no, there's a mistake. We thought we had 30 days. Like, we talked to a lawyer. And that was the other thing, is before this happened, you see him on the phone calling all these lawyers, like asking for pro bono work, and like he just doesn't get any kind of callbacks. But yeah, the way they do it is like they're like they keep saying to them, "You're trespassing right now," like, you know, and they say, as a courtesy, we're going to give you 2 minutes to grab anything valuable, and like, and they also say, and like all this is very realistic, like none of this is like made up for film, like this is how evictions work. They say like we can't let anyone out of our sight in the eviction process. So like Laura Dern goes into her bedroom and the cop has to like stand there and watch her like gathering her things, and Andrew Garfield's getting pissed off about it. Like, you're going to stand there like watching her pack her underwear and stuff. And, you know, they like drag them out of the, not really drag them, but they're just like, come on, get out, like hurry up. And just, they even make them stand on the other side of the sidewalk from the house as if it's like part of the procedure. It's like, don't even stand on your, well, it's not yours anymore, the lawn. Then they bring in like a crew of people who just like drag out all the other possessions of the house and drag them out onto the lawn. And like the one thing I thought I didn't really think about the first time, but the second time was like the humiliation, the public humiliation of it.
Oh yeah, it's fucking terrible.
Where like they just like throw a pot, like all of your shit into a pile on the lawn, and like the whole neighborhood's just like gawking and looking. And
yeah, and I mean, like, it's not just like the public humiliation of it. It's also just, I guess that is what it is. It's public humiliation, and also just the sadness of it, because all the neighbors, they see it, they feel like they have to come out there and support you, but at the same time, I guess they're thinking, this is where the humiliation comes in. Now that I'm talking to myself, they're thinking, oh, well, this isn't going to happen to me. I can't believe they let it get this bad. Why didn't they just pay their bills?
Yeah, some people are probably judging them that way, yeah.
Even though it's like happening to like everyone at this time.
Right. Michael Shannon also mentions this thing that's going to be important as the plot goes on. He says to them, like, before they enter the house and like throw them out and everything, like he says something like, I don't know, a month or 2 months or whatever, 3 months ago, whatever it was, we offered you the cash for keys deal. And cash for keys is a thing I never heard of until this movie, but I believe it's real. And
yeah, I've never ever heard of it.
It turns out to be people that are like on the edge of eviction. Like, the real estate company says, we'll give you $3,500 if you move all of your shit out. And they even have a specific term. He said, like, if the house is in broom swept condition. Yeah. So like that also made me think like they probably fuck people over even on the $3,500.
I'm certain of it. I'm certain there were times where they came in just because, like, I think we've talked about this before, but in America, I've never fucking got my
security deposit.
No matter how, I've left houses in better condition.
Yeah,
and I never got my fucking security deposit.
I have so many frustrating stories with that too, man. Like, I think I got like part of one back once, but like the last time I even had an apartment in America, it was like a pretty decent, like, brand new apartment, and I was only in there for like 3 months, so like I couldn't have fucked it up that bad. And like, I'm a pretty clean person in general, and like I didn't even use the oven ever, but like I fucking cleaned it up just in case to make sure I would get my deposit back. And they were just like, they made up some bullshit and said, and now the other thing is this was in Texas and I was moving back to Illinois. So I had like sort of even less means of like, I don't know, there's nothing you can do in that situation. It's just like their word against yours, essentially. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, it makes me mad thinking about it.
It fucking pisses me off.
Just like, it makes me angry.
I just noticed in my notes I described the one cop as the egg-shaped cop.
The egg-shaped
the
cop.
short, fat one who was doing all the talking. He's like that's the other thing is like these two cops are like Michael Shannon's like regular cops who like help him kick people out. So he must be just like paying them, I'm assuming. Anyway, oh, that reminded me too of like I was like telling Heywan about this movie and she was telling me about like how these things go down in Korea and how it tends to be really violent, and that and that it's not the police but just like
is it like gang? Oh,
it's
like
like
yeah, no,
gangsters basically come in.
I've been
and like
watching a Korean drama that's actually all about this.
Oh, okay.
Called it's about a Italian Korean named Vinciano. Actually, I really like it. It's a comedy drama, a dramedy. That's what they call them. But the whole thing is about these people who are about to be evicted from their apartment complex that's going to be torn down to build like a new Shinsegae or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of it revolves around like sending gangsters in to like get them out of their house or to like break something in the apartment, so they have to close down the apartment earlier, or basically just to fuck the people out of like being able to stay until their eviction notice even.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking about the difference of it, and it's like, I mean, the way that the cops are used as like brute force, they're not like necessarily like just grabbing people or beating people up, but they like the final thing that makes Laura Dern and Andrew Garfield's characters leave basically is when the egg-shaped cop is like, "Do you want your mom to go to jail? I'll just put you both in jail." And it's like, oh fuck! Like then reality hits them. It's just like these cops can do whatever they want to us, so we got to get out of here. But it sounds like in Korea, it's just like they go from like 0 to 60 really quickly with like bypassing, threatening, like jailing people, and just like, you know, paying like hired goons to like beat up old people and shit, which is completely fucked up. But Heywan was telling me there's some like kind of infamous story about when there was like the Seoul Olympics in like the late 80s. They wanted to build like a what do you call it? The ski lift. And they were like there was like this just village, like ramshackle village in the mountains of like super poor people. And they were like, "Get the fuck out of here. We want to build this ski lift." They're like, "No, this is where we live." And it's really, I mean, instead of like just beating them up, they like just burned down all their like huts that they were living in. And I guess it just like drove one of the guys so crazy who lived there that he like ended up killing 4 people with a hammer.
Jesus, I think I've heard about this, but I'd forgotten about it. Maybe Dane had told me something about this at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, so the Korean drama I've been watching, which is not done yet, it's on Netflix. It might even be a Netflix original. It's a comedy, but it gets really dark at times because it is a lot about just like random rich people in Korea trying to fuck these poor people. And even like the lawyer who's supposed to be protecting them, he has an ulterior motive for like why he wants to protect them, because he actually wants the apartment building for himself and wants to fuck the bigger law firm. Which makes it even kind of worse. And it's silly in the Korean drama sort of way, but yeah, no, it seems like a giant mess, and like much like the States, the whole thing revolves around like basically the common folk has no power to like do anything about these massive businesses who suddenly decide they want your home. Like if the bank or if the corporation decides they want your home, you're probably going to lose your home to them.
Yeah. Not to mention like if it's just like the government is like, we want to build a highway.
Which I guess is mentioned even in this movie, like later, right?
Something about a highway?
I think there's an allusion to it. I thought that was like what the 1,000 home thing was
the big deal thing at the end. Yeah. Okay. I can't really remember.
I'm skipping ahead, but I don't even know if that was clearly like made out, but I feel like that's what they were talking about in the boardroom, is like building a highway through there.
I
And
think
maybe
you're
like a
right.
shopping
Yeah.
district or something.
Um, like the kind of the reason I brought up the thing about the Korea too is like, so they were watching this scene that's like kind of harrowing, and like, but then like my mind kind of went to like, and of course, like you can do this with like any situation. It could always be worse, and I just imagined immediately like, if these people weren't white, like would they have gotten that quote unquote courtesy of the 2 minutes, or would they have just been like
Well, they show the one of the scenes in the movie is the Hispanic family where they have like the son translating for the father. Oh, you're talking about the 2 minutes to pack everything up.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just saying, like, we never see a scene where like they're kicking out like a black family.
That's true. I mean, the closest thing is the Hispanic family.
But you don't even see them being kicked out. They're just, he's like that's later where he's just explaining the situation. He's like you. That's when all the cash for keys stuff is happening. But so anyway, like, yeah, the kid comes home to like, you know, perfect timing, and he's like, what the fuck's going on with my house? And it's like inconceivable to him. And so anyway, they end up going to like a motel. They shove all of their shit into the back of Andrew Garfield's like pickup truck. Somehow they fit all of it in there. I don't know, but whatever. And they go to this motel, which like reminded me immediately of the Florida Project. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I did not see that movie.
Oh, it's pretty good. Some people were calling it like poverty porn or whatever, but I thought it was just a good movie. It's like an A24 movie, just about like, yeah, poor people living in a motel in Florida. But like when they pull in, there's like, you see that there's a lot of people who are just living in this motel, right? And then, like one of them says like, or Laura Dern says like, oh, we're just going to be here a few nights. And like this one other lady is like, oh yeah, we said that too 2 years ago. And that's kind of depressing.
I'm still confused how they were affording to pay for the apartments unless they were just like, or the hotel, unless there was like some program at the time, or if it was like.
No, I mean, I think it's implied that they have some money, but
yeah,
I mean, she was working like at that home salon, and he's like a construction worker. I mean, I don't think they had a ton of money, but I mean, they're only like in the movie, we only see them stay in the motel for like a week or something, right? I don't know.
And I think it was more than that. I got the feeling that more time had passed, like during the whole time where he was rising up in Carver real estate.
Yeah, it does get kind of vague, I guess, how long it's really been.
Because I don't feel like he went straight from his construction guy to like sitting in on the business meetings. And like the movie makes it feel real quick, but I think it took more time for him to like become Rick Carver Jr. than like was like maybe displayed in the movie. Like I think it was just like supposed to be like you just kind of accepted that time had passed, or that's what I did because it like made it more like realistic to me.
Yeah, although yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too bogged down in the details, but I mean when we get to I mean let's just get to it.
Yeah.
So he, you know, they're like, it's desperate. They're living in a motel. Andrew Garfield's trying to get more construction work desperately. Like every phone call is just like people hanging up on him. He can't find anything. Then like at one point, the Laura Dern is saying to him, like, you know, we could get an apartment, and she's like, we have though this actually maybe explains that they have some money, because she says like we have enough money for like first and last month's rent or whatever, and but then he says like, but our credit is shit, so like we can't actually get an apartment, which just reminded me of a fact that I didn't know until pretty recently, but that like the concept of a credit score like didn't exist until the 80s. Did you know that?
I did know that.
I thought that was kind of wild. I mean, it's not. It's. I mean, when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But it's just one of those things that you feel
were the
like
heyday for like public databases really start happening too.
Then there's this talk about like they could go to Tampa and stay with, I think, Laura Dern's brother is implied or said. I don't remember exactly, but Andrew Garfield's whole thing is like he doesn't want to like uproot his kid, and basically he doesn't want to like depend on someone else or whatever. So I mean, basically, also like some of his construction, his like carpentry tools or whatever, were stolen by the guys who were evicting him. So he's like starts to get into kind of like a shoving match with them outside of the motel, because you find out the motel is right next door to the business office of Michael Shannon's realtor business.
Realty business.
And so Michael Shannon comes out and like breaks up the fight and is yelling at them, like just kind of really condescendingly, like, you fucking dumb fuck pieces of shit. But then he gets a phone call that's like, there's been like a shit explosion at one of your houses. So he like yells at all these workers to like go to this one address, and he says to Andrew Garfield, I noticed too, he calls him Miguel.
Yeah,
in a really condescending, like purposeful way. Like,
I wasn't sure what that was about, to be honest.
He later uses Miguel as a verb like 2 or 3 times later in the movie. He's like, you Migueling all over the place, or like, you can Miguel this or that. And it's just obviously his like racist way of like talking about like migrant day laborers, and like that's their kind of work. So like, even if you're a white guy, if you're doing this kind of work, you're just Miguel to me, is what is all implied there. But he's like, I'll give you $50 if you come like clean up this stuff, this actual shit. And yeah, they go to this house, and like the people who had lived there, they knew they were about to get evicted, so they purposely like stopped up the sewage to just make like this huge horrible mess. And Andrew Garfield like kind of like negotiates with Michael Shannon about like, I'll clean this all up for like $300. And Michael Shannon,
and I think he gets knocked down to $250 though, right?
Yeah, Michael Shannon's like $200 and then $250, and yeah. And he goes in there and like throws up because it's so horrible. And you see like Michael Shannon sort of like taking it's not, at first it seems like, oh, maybe he's like not a monster, and he's actually like kind of being a little bit nice to Andrew Garfield. He like gives him a bottle of water and is like talking to him like a human being, sort of. But then you realize like he just sees like financial potential in this hardworking kid that he can use, that he can exploit to his advantage.
Yeah.
And this one scene I found really heartbreaking was when he comes back from cleaning up all that human shit, and his mom and his son are just like so excited that they have $250. Which is just not a lot of money. Oh, I there was a little detail in the house, the shit house, that they had written on the wall, "Kill bankers."
Oh, I thought it said "fuck bankers."
It said "kill bankers."
It is "kill bankers," isn't it?
And I realized on the second watch that there's also just shit smeared all over the walls. And I think
I didn't notice that.
I think the "kill bankers" thing was actually written in shit. Like, I thought at first it was just graffiti, but then
at first I thought it was graffiti.
I think
Jesus,
maybe the "kill bankers" thing was, and then there was just like shit smeared on the walls as well. We see where Michael Shannon lives, and he lives in a big old mansion. I wrote in my notes Mick Mansion, and then I put question mark, and I thought it would be good to discuss with you the difference between a Mick Mansion and a mansion. Like, where
his
is
place was
the boundary line?
Mansion. So like, the place that Nash buys for his mom before she, like, as she finds out what he's doing as a job.
Yeah,
I think that's a Mick Mansion, but I think the thing that like Carver's living in is like a fucking mansion.
It's pretty big, yeah.
But I don't 100% know the differences. Whenever I think of McMansions, I always think that McMansions are part of a subdivision, so there's like 20 other around them.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense too. Yeah, the house. Yeah, Michael Shannon's house is pretty fucking big, and then you find out he's got like, he owns so many properties. He's got like a side house with his side piece, his Gumar, his college age girlfriend, I should say. But yeah, like you see his family life briefly, and it's like very, it seems very fake and like transactional. Like you see like his 3 daughters and like they look whatever, like happy kids, but he seems sort of like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like just his character is kind of insane. But the way like you see him talk to his wife just the one time, and she's kind of saying like, I forget exactly what she says, but he basically just like, he placates her with money. She like has some mild complaint about something. And he's like, listen, I paid for this like, spa-cation for you and your friends or whatever the fuck. And then she's just like immediately like, okay, everything's fine again. And then we start to see that Michael Shannon is just like having Andrew Garfield like do little repairs on his fucking mansion, which is just so humiliating. Imagine you get evicted by this guy.
I can't imagine working for the guy that evicted me.
And
but
then,
at the same time, I can, because I've definitely been in that position where I'm like desperate for money. And honestly, if I was in the same position, I would have been like, well, this fucking sucks. But Shannon does such a great job, or Carver does such a great job to be like, look, man, this is my job. I didn't choose to do this job. I hate doing this too. And I do get the sense at times in the movie, though, he likes being rich, that I actually think he does hate it. And also loves it.
I think he kind of likes it. I think he likes the like amassing power part of it, because like we're actually like one of the things that happens right after this scene is right before he gets Michael Shannon gets a phone call, and it's a guy just like screaming. He screams, "I'm homeless, motherfucker!" And it's obviously someone like who he's evicted, and you start to see like this is part of his life. Is just like people hating his guts. And understandably so. And then he's driving by. He's like, maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, him and Andrew Garfield are in the same car driving somewhere. And Michael Shannon is like, what do you see when you look out the window? And he's like, Andrew Garfield says, homes. So they're just driving by a bunch of homes. And Michael Shannon's like, I just saw 9 opportunities. And like he like rattles off like really fast like all these details of like that doorknob was like missing its lock or whatever, and like this, that, and the other, and that one's like mailbox was brand new, and he just like spots all these things and can tell like, oh, I can flip this, I can turn this into money, So then like it just shows like I don't know if he really hates the job. I think like there's a scene like, I mean, we're gonna listen to some clips from the movie, but
I mean, I get this feel. I don't think he hates the job. Well, there's like the monologue where like basically he goes off in this rant about how the government and people like Nash turned his life into evictions, and like, he was just a fucking real estate guy.
That's maybe my favorite part of the movie.
And I get this sense that moment he hates it, and also the thank you at the very end, which I know we haven't got there yet, but the thank you that he gives Nash at the very end. Part of me is like, is that like a thank you for like just being like? It was ambiguous to me.
I've got a different interpretation of that.
I have a few.
Let's talk about it when we get there, though. So then there's they end up they're having this conversation. I see all these opportunities. Suddenly, Michael Shannon's like, "What the fuck?" and slams on the brakes. And you see like there's like an extension cord going from one house's window like and plugged into the house next door's like outlet.
Yeah.
And there's like a hose going to the spigot.
Yep.
Um,
That's how I stole cable in university. My roommate in university, his part-time, or not part-time job, I guess it was full-time job, but he was also in university. He was working for Charter Cable. And I remember he spliced into our neighbor's line to give us free cable. I was always happy about that.
Nice. Stick it to the Comcast man.
Well, it's Charter, but maybe Charter's owned by Comcast now. They're both.
That's the only company name I could think of. Time Warner or whatever. So we find out that like the house that this guy is stealing electricity and water from is at first I was kind of like, wait, does he even own this house, or is it the principle of it that's pissing off Michael Shannon? He says something like, you're stealing from the government via Fannie Mae. He said like something like, I represent Fannie Mae who owns that house, or something like that. Yeah. So anyway, he must own it. Otherwise, I don't think he would have really cared. But he just and we find out that the guy, I don't know this guy's name. I just kept calling him the guy with a capital G. But he's the father of Andrew Garfield's kid's friend. And he becomes an important character further on in the movie. Important. Yeah. And they kind of have a little conversation because like they had seen each other at court in that court scene in the beginning of the movie. And Andrew Garfield's kind of trying to say like, he's like, this isn't what I do. And then the guy's like, me either. Like, so they're both kind of like showing like these extreme circumstances have like pushed them to do things that are like against their morals. Like Andrew Garfield's working for this monster that just kicked him out of his own home. And this guy is like stealing electricity with a extension cord. But then, yeah, like Michael Shannon, like they leave and Michael Shannon's like, don't be soft, because like, you know, Andrew Garfield was being kind of nice to the guy, like saying it's not a big deal and stuff.
You not be nice, but at the same time, how can you be nice?
I mean, Michael Shannon's whole thing was don't be soft, and like the law is the law, and like there was more of that kind of like self-insulation of like the law is the law. Like you just follow the law. Like it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, you know. You're not doing anything wrong by like being a hard ass to these people. They got to learn, you know. And then we see that like Michael Shannon, what's funny is right after that, the law is the law shit, we see that Michael Shannon is just like completely scamming the government, like left and right. I got a clip here that kind of explains it a little bit, but like, he's basically, I mean, he's doing a bunch of different scams, and there's no point in really explaining like in detail what they are, but a lot of them involve like removing like appliances and like air conditioning units and stuff from homes, and then so they would like, so they take an air conditioner and they take a picture of it being missing, and they'll put it in a storage locker, and then the Fannie Mae, the government, will like reimburse them to reinstall it, which means they're just getting that money like right directly into their pocket. So anyway, let's just listen to this one clip. I think this is about the right part of the movie.
Install everything, patch the tiles, caulk the cabinets, and connect the gas line when you bring in the appliances.
All this in here now?
Yeah, I'm selling this home for Fannie Mae. I can't do that if it doesn't have a kitchen, can I?
No.
So, who just paid me $33,000 for new cabinets, appliances, and a countertop, plus labor?
Fannie Mae.
Fannie Mae? Congratulations. You just fucked the government. Mr. Nash?
Yeah.
If you're interested, let me know. If not, you can use this to take your kid to Disney World and get yourself a job magelling Cinderella's castle.
Magelling.
I don't give a shit about the government. They've never done nothing for me, so it's a lot of money you just gave me. Mm-hmm. It feels a bit like trouble.
Well, you done honest work your whole life building homes. What'd that get you but me knocking at your door?
Are we stealing? Is this stealing?
Well, in 2006, you borrowed $85,000 against your home and never paid it back, Nash. You telling me that's not stealing?
What? You serious? Yeah, that's not stealing. That's me taking a loan. That's me working my ass off trying to pay back that loan. I wanted to pay it back. I didn't steal that money.
That's not how the banks see it, or the taxpayers paying for the bailout.
You think I bought a Porsche? No, I invested every cent of the money that I borrowed into construction equipment so that I could pay back that loan, so that I could put a roof over my family's head, put food in my kid's mouth. Economy crashed. I can't predict that. I can't predict the weather.
I can. I'm a Doppler fucking radar. You took something and you didn't give it back. Then banks screwed you over. Take your pick. Either way, you lost. But I made more money during the crash than before it. You can too. You just gotta stop lying to yourself and ask, what did you do wrong that your family lives in a motel?
Jesus. Fucking line. That's what rich people think most of the time. It's not just like, why is your family living in a hotel, but what did you do wrong to be poor? That's what it is. It's always, what did you do wrong to be poor?
Favor, I need you to help me get my family home back. I want you to take this as my first payment.
Don't get emotional about real estate.
No, it's too late for that. That's my family home. That's my boy's school, so please just take this.
Well, this ain't gonna cut it. Put that on your mattress. Don't put it in the bank. You're just giving them more money. When you get enough, I'll tell you what to do with it. Now, do you want to double what you just made or not?
All right, so yeah, there's like a lot of.
Sorry for interrupting the clip. It's
No.
That fucking line is like, it reminds me so much of just like, things I've heard other people say, or things I've heard in life of just like,
well,
you're poor because you fucking chose this.
He says that, but then he also says, like, even if it's not your fault, are you gonna just like be a loser and let circumstance like walk all over you? That's kind of what he's getting at as well, because he's like, because Andrew Garfield pushes back. He's like, I didn't just blow this money irresponsibly. Like, I've been trying to pay it back. It's like, and later in another clip, like he's gonna really go off on like, you know, well, we'll just hear it, but like, I think partly though, he's also just he's pushing his buttons a little bit with that line, because he wants him to work for him. Michael Shannon wants Andrew Garfield to work for him. So he's like, you gonna be a fucking idiot and like live in a motel like a moron, or are you gonna come work for me and like make more money? And it works, because like he's like, okay, I'll do it. He literally says, I'll do whatever you want. And then he tries to give him back, like, he can't hear on the clip, but like, right after the
tries
thing,
to give the money back.
Right before the thing about Disneyland, he hands him a check, and it's for like $3,000 some, which is like more money than he's ever seen at one time, you know? But yeah, he tries to give it back as like towards like a payment of like, just help me get my house back, which like comes up a couple times in the movie. I thought it was interesting too that he's like, keep that like under your mattress, like don't put it in the bank, like banks will just fuck you.
Yeah, and part of me is like, that because it's shady fucking money. I don't know.
That, well, oh, I didn't even think about that. You're right. Yeah, that's probably him just doing self-preservation. You're right. He's like, shit, you're gonna get me caught if you try to, I don't know. But I mean, you can't just put a check under a mattress anyway. But oh no, actually, we see what he does with it, which is something I wrote down. Like he goes to one of those easy cash places, which are like, man, those in like payday loan places are fucking. It's just like the sign of evil.
Kind of like ruined my mom to some degree at one point.
They're fucking
too personal.
They're the devil's business, man.
They really are.
Those like, places are fucking. And the thing is they're like, they make sense in a fucked economy and fucked up society. Like that's what gets you those like kind of industries, like preying on poor people, is because it works. I mean, shit, I never actually got a payday loan, but I really considered it at certain points in my life. I think I was just like, I didn't do it because I just didn't even understand what it was.
You're really lucky you didn't, because it's like fucking 80% interest, or just like a,
and you just get caught in like an endless cycle, right?
You can never pay it off. Like literally, you can never pay it off. What would happen with my mom? Like the later part of her life got pretty rough in ways, but she would take them out, and then it would either come to me or my dad and be like, I'm stuck, pay for this, and then we'd end up having to pay like double or triple what she borrowed, which would, I don't know, it's just fucking sad, and it's a trap. It's like those payday loan places may as well just say, this is a trap in big bright letters,
and people would
but it doesn't matter.
It probably
but
wouldn't
still
slow
fucking
business,
desperate, man.
Yeah, and I know that places where you just cash checks aren't necessarily payday loan places, but it just reminded me of that. I mean, they're kind of like the same kind of species of industry, right? Like, because I've used those easy cash places when I didn't have a bank account, or maybe when I just like really needed to cash a paycheck or something, and they take a pretty decent chunk out of your check as well. And that's, again, like, some people are so poor and so much like caught up in like a cycle of like just doing like random gig type jobs that, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not too hard to get a bank account, but like some people are like too poor to have a bank account. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I know.
And that's what those like easy cash places are built for, right? I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, we should probably.
And I think Walmart's became one of those places, as odd as it sounds, because I think Walmart like offers that service at this moment.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. They probably have they probably have their own like payday loan like chains.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I don't know if they have their own like payday.
I mean, they probably don't say Walmart on them, but I wouldn't be surprised if
I wouldn't be surprised if the Waltons didn't own something like that. Come to think of it,
yeah. So, like, basically what happens from here is that, well, I mean, it's exactly what Andrew Garfield said. He said, I'll do whatever you want. And he just, this is why I felt like things went by quickly, but you might be right. Like, maybe it's just kind of playing with time. It is like
I think it plays with time some. I'm not 100% sure, but I really did.
But I think he jumps pretty quickly into, like, going around doing the cash for keys thing. He doesn't start doing the evictions himself until a little later, but, like, he's doing the cash for keys thing like pretty much right away. I think the first thing he does is it's the cash for keys thing. So he Michael Shannon says to Andrew Garfield, like, I want you to go around, look at like all these properties that are owned by Fannie Mae and owned by Bank of America, because they have like the biggest payouts. And so like he gets like his, construction buddies or whatever, and they're like riding around in a pickup truck, and they're just like checking the houses to see if they're occupied or not. And like a bunch of them are empty. And then he has these guys fraudulently sign these cash for keys deals, which is like so wildly fraudulent. Like it seems like you would get caught right away for that. Because, in fact,
I expected him to get caught for that.
Yeah, like immediately.
I was like, they're going to get caught. But at the same time, I don't think... you always see that fucking money suit guy on the ads. He's talking about getting like grants from... I think that's the type of shit that he peddles.
Yeah, and I mean...
You're entitled to these random government checks.
Well,
All you have to do is this.
And Michael Shannon's business like has like the air of like legitimacy around it. So maybe like... people aren't like expecting him to be like doing that kind of low level of a scam. Yeah. But they are. And like, but here's like this part I think was like kind of crucial, because the cash for keys thing, like we said, is $3,500. But he tells all of his friends, oh yeah, you'll get $2,500 for each one of these that you sign, which means he's going to pocket the extra 1,000 himself. And then it cuts to that, like, Michael Shannon and Andrew Garfield at like a, I almost said golf field, golf course. I forget why they're even there. They're like doing some glad handing fucking business douche bullshit there. But like, they're just riding in like the golf cart, and Michael Shannon like asks him like how it went with the cash for keys scam, and he says like, So what did you tell your friends it was worth? Because he like, he figures like, well, what he would do, And Andrew Garfield like doesn't really want to say outright like, oh, I'm ripping off my own friends.
Yeah, of course not.
And he's like, oh, I told him the full amount. He's like, oh, you told him the full amount, huh? Like really like
sure,
suspicious.
You told him the full amount.
And he just starts he like laughs really knowingly, and like, yeah, that's just kind of the end of it. But it's like, it's that moment, classic moment in a movie where the protagonist is like turning towards the dark side or whatever. Which like this movie doesn't actually go like super predictable in that way, but like you see him like really gradually like, yeah, just doing shit he wouldn't normally do. And also like deluding himself as like happens more and more as we go through the movie. But so then we've hit this part with maybe the like a great monologue. Like Michael Shannon, he's like a Chicago guy. He's got a real Chicago accent, and I could just picture him doing like a scene like this, like on at the Steppenwolf Theater or something. But so they're at his like side house where he has like his like mistress, whatever you want to call her. He calls her his like sweetheart or something silly like that. And it's like literally like this college girl, and he's like probably 50 years old. Whatever, who cares?
Yeah,
but
standard shit, right?
Kind of, yeah. And this is where this is like not. I don't know. It's not really important to the plot or anything, but like Michael Shannon asks like, "Why aren't you married?" And he's like, "I don't have time for it." And he's kind of like pressing him on it, like, well, you've got a son. Like, what's the deal with his mom? And yeah, it's just left completely unanswered. He just says like, I don't want to talk about it, basically. But then, then Michael Shannon hands him another check for like double the amount. Literally, like he said, like in the previous clip, like, you want to make double the money you just made? And he hands him a check for like, I think almost exactly double the amount he had made before. It's like 6,000 something. And
More
again,
money
he's
than
like,
I've ever made in one go.
Yeah. And again, he's like,
a lot more money than I've ever made in one go, to be quite honest.
Yeah, me too. And he tries to just hand it back and be like, I just want my house back. So like you see here that he's still kind of like,
Dreaming.
a good guy who just wants, his house back. And this is and Michael Shannon just basically says like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, he's like, I see your house is worth like $170,000. I'll buy it, and then you're gonna pay me back at this like. He rattles off a bunch of fucking numbers and percentages and shit, and Andrew Garfield is like, "That's a really shit rate." And he's like, "Well, do you think the bank like you're not gonna get a better rate from the bank?" And anyway, Andrew Garfield's like really like thankful. He almost starts like crying, and so it's like this cathartic moment because like you're in, but we're only like halfway through the movie at this point. And it's like, oh, he's getting his house back, like,
yeah.
And Michael Shannon's just really kind of blasé about it, like, whatever. It's like not shit to him, it doesn't really matter. And he's doing it just because he's like, oh, well, I can make a little extra money now too. But then, like, he talks about how Andrew Garfield needs to start like evicting people, and like, here's the clip.
Drink?
No, I'm good. High on life.
You might want to reconsider. We got one more stop. 224 Lakeview Court.
Is that Mr. Tanner? I offered him cash for keys from the bank.
Guess what? He never called. And there's evictions today. You can pop your cherry with this one. First one's a bitch, but you get numb to it. All you gotta do is stand next to me today. But after this, you're gonna do them on your own.
Listen, Rick, I don't, Could I just...
Go fuck yourself? Yeah. What'd you think it was gonna mean working for me?
He's fucking scary.
I just thought that maybe...
I didn't. You didn't think. You didn't have the guts to ask me either. Nobody does. Because who in their right mind wouldn't rather put someone in a home than drag them out of it? Up until 3 years ago, I was a regular old real estate agent. Putting people in homes, speculating on property, that was my job. Now, in 2006, Robert and Julia Tanner borrowed $30,000 to put an enclosed patio on their home that they had somehow managed to live without for 25 years. Why don't you ask them about that when they're spitting in your face while you walk them to the curb? Why don't you ask the bank what the hell they were thinking giving these people an adjustable rate mortgage? And then you can go to the government and ask them why they lifted every regulation and sat there like a retarded stepchild. You, Tanner, banks, Washington, every other homeowner and investor from here to China turned my life into evictions. I'm not an aristocrat. I wasn't born into this. My daddy was a roofer, okay? I grew up on construction sites watching him bust his ass until he fell off of a townhouse one day. A lifetime of insurance payments, and they dropped him before he could buy a wheelchair, but only after they got him hooked on painkillers. Now, do you think I'm gonna let that happen to me? Do you think America 2010 gives a flying rat's ass about Carver or Nash? America doesn't bail out the losers. America was built by bailing out winners, by rigging a nation of the winners, for the winners, by the winners.
In a way,
You
this
go to
reminds
church,
me of
Nash?
that.
You go to church?
Sure.
Only 1 in 100's gonna get on that ark, son. And every other poor soul's gonna drown. I'm not gonna drown.
Damn. I mean, whatever the content, that Michael Shannon can act. Yeah, I thought that was like an incredible part of the movie. It's just kind of like lays it all out there. It's kind of like almost like in the Ned Beatty scene in Network. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can see the Ned Beatty scene. I was also thinking it's even like the stupid Aaron Sorkin scene in that TV show on HBO, the fucking news reporter TV show.
Oh, no.
It's better, but in
Much
a way,
better.
the whole just like America.
Yeah, this is everything that's like, I'm going to list off a bunch of facts, yeah. Except this, yeah, I mean, this is so much better. Fuck Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, it's better. It's the same vibe. It's just like, I mean, Sorkin wishes that his...
Except this is so much more realistic. I don't know. I mean...
It also was like way more realistic as far as like that conversation felt real, especially the "do you go to church" thing.
Yeah,
it's fucking perfect. Growing up in the South, it's just fucking.
Well, it's funny about that too, though, is that like even if you've never been to church, most people understand the Noah's Ark story.
Yeah,
but I mean, it works well in the script. But yeah, he says a bunch of stuff that's just really revealing there, though. Like, I mean, like you brought up the part where he just lists. He's like, you, the banks, the government. Like, it's like all of you conspired to make me have to do this shit, and it's like, no, you enjoy this. Like he doesn't. Like I feel like, I guess like. I don't know what it is. Like maybe because I like the actor so much, like maybe you're expecting him to like do the right thing at some point, but this character is like completely gone. Like he's totally, you know, like the speech, like it's a survival of the fittest mode. Like,
yeah,
he's like, I'm not going to be one of the poor suckers, like getting fucked. And like, I got one more clip, and like in that clip, Andrew Garfield talks about how his dad died, like, well, and I mean, shit, right there in that clip, like, Michael Shannon talks about how his dad got fucked over, you know, fell off a roof, couldn't even buy a wheelchair, like, the government took his health care away, like, what did he have to show for, like, playing by the rules his whole life? Fucking nothing. So his whole philosophy is just, like, get what's yours while you can, and, like, it's weirdly kind of like he makes it as like reasonable as it could possibly be, if that makes sense. Like it does. It's not Right, but it's like, I mean, it just shows that like this movie is just showing really well how like the rot is like within like, you know, the grand system of things. It's not like, it's not a bunch of like evil individuals necessarily. Like, I don't know. People do get like he, in a way, he was incentivized to become who he is, like this ruthless real estate guy, because he saw like the opportunity to like not drown, right?
Yeah.
And he sees all these other people drowning around him. And he's like, well, I can scam the government and I can flip these houses, and you know, and yeah, maybe it's implied from that monologue that like now and then he feels bad about what he does, but like I think generally he like compartmentalizes and rationalizes away what he does. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
I just feel like that character, Michael Shannon, does such a good job of like, he's a villain. Like, he's a fucking great villain, but the villain's just like, I love a villain where like the villain, I don't think he actually thinks he's a villain. I think he's like generally thinks that he's justified in everything he does in the movie because of it being legal, because of it being fine.
Well, and I think it's the attitude of like exploit or be exploited, basically. And like, even if that's wrong, well, that's reality. Like, that's what we live in. Like, he's not going to like, I don't know. He's not going to be an idealist and like be poor and an activist or something, you know?
Yeah.
So then we like, what happens next is Andrew Garfield, I think, is a way of like, probably as a reaction to that monologue, he's just like, no, I'll go like do the eviction myself. Like, even though Michael Shannon offered to like kind of like show him the ropes or whatever, at least the one time, but he's like, no, I'll just do it by myself. We see him like, we didn't mention like Michael Shannon carries a gun like in an ankle holster. And
the gun scene was weird for me. I don't know how you felt about it, but I totally understood like Nash not wanting to take the gun, because I would feel really weird about it too.
Well, I mean, he offers him the gun so quickly after they've met. Like,
that's true.
And that's the weird. I think I caught it the second time. I think it's it's a joke, because he says, "Yeah, I did a background check on you. You're licensed to carry it." It's like, at first I thought it was real, but then like after like the second time I was like, "Oh wait, that can't be true." Like, he just met this guy. And he says it a second time when he does give him the gun. But anyway, like right before the eviction scene of Laura Dern and Andrew Garfield, we see Michael Shannon in his car loading the gun into the ankle holster. And then we see like an exact same shot of Andrew Garfield doing the same thing, which is like obviously, you know, putting us in the mind of like, he's becoming the master or whatever. And yeah, he does his like first eviction, and you can tell it's like uncomfortable and he feels shitty about it, but he does it. And he's also like using a lot of the same exact language as like Michael Shannon's character. But he's not being as forceful about it or whatever. But
yeah.
Oh, there was an important thing too that felt like Michael Shannon says in that last clip. He's like your first eviction's like gonna be a real bitch. It's gonna make you feel bad. It's gonna be difficult. But, he says literally, you get numb to it. Like, you get numb to it eventually. It's like, no big deal. It's kind of like the way, like, I feel like in movies people talk about like doing hits, like killing people. It's like your first one will always make you puke, but it's like you'll get numb to it later. I don't know. It was like similar language of like an assassin or something, but he's talking about doing evictions. I don't know if that was like purposeful or not, but anyway, I feel like we gotta like I gotta step on the gas or something.
We'll step on the gas. Sorry.
I mean, this is a great movie. But we don't have to go through it so detailed.
I think So Dash's like, I mean, he like gets into the system. Like he starts making a ton of money, and I think the ending's interesting. And I was bringing that up earlier, but like, I don't know how far forward we should skip. But
Well, there's a
he's
couple of key things before we get to the very end. But like, so he has gotten his house back also. So the next scene after the eviction is he brings his mom and his kid to their old house with like a bucket of paint, and the whole thing is like they can do repairs on it, but Michael Shannon says they got to wait like 8 weeks or something till they can move in. But they're like thrilled. The kid's really happy. The mom is happy, but the mom is kind of like suspicious. Like, how did you do this?
like, how'd you get this money? We don't have this type of money.
And well, he says like my boss bought the house and like he gave me like, and I have to just pay him back in installments like a bank. And she's like, oh, and you know,
sure, that sounds good, son.
And then he seems like then we see like more like montage of like Andrew Garfield going around in like the role of like the evictor, and like it shows him just like doing the cash for keys thing a lot too, and it shows him like this like jar of keys like filling up as he goes along. And there's this really sad scene where he like evicts this old confused man who has like no friends or family or money, and it's just like, that was the other thing I was thinking about is like people that imagine people getting evicted who can't go to that motel for even a night, or like don't have any friends to stay with or any family. And that's
Like
basically
the
what
man
the
with
old
dementia?
man is.
Yeah.
And I think you overhear the cops say something like, we'll take you to like Red Cross or something.
Yeah, there's like
that.
how's the Red Cross sound to you? Which
Yeah.
is like one of the fucking saddest parts of the movie.
Yeah, I think that guy was actually like a non-actor. I think I heard the director talking about that scene briefly. He was like just like a real guy, but it did have.
Yeah, I saw that in
realism.
a written interview that I was reading on NPR. that
I think
said
he used
also that,
his movies before this. He used like a lot of just amateur or like non-professional actors. Then we get to see like the other only kind of like big name quote unquote actor in the movie, which is Clancy Brown, who's a fucking badass, and who I realized on the second watch was like him and Michael Shannon have like a similar like terrifying presence.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, I always think of like, because he's like a character actor, I guess he's not like a movie star, so really, but like I always just think of his role in Shawshank Redemption. He plays like the really, really sadistic prison guard in that movie. He's in Highlander too, I think, which I've never seen, but I think I've heard that he's in it.
He's in the Highlander? I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I was actually just wondering because I know you've seen the Highlander movies.
I've definitely seen it, but I don't.
I think he's in the first one. I only know that for some reason because I've heard someone say it. But I had this funny image in my mind though of Clancy Brown and Michael Shannon having like a fucking like bad guy off like like cage match. And it was like I just had this image of them like towering over a city, like fighting each other, like Kong v Godzilla or something. I don't know. They're just both like they both got like these kind of deep voices, and they can be scary as hell, and they're both really good actors. But anyway, I digress. So this introduces like the big stakes. So like Clancy Brown is like some even bigger like real estate mogul, I guess. That's what I gathered. And he's got some big deal, and the details really don't matter, but it basically is like, if Michael Shannon can like sell 100 of these certain homes, it will like snowball into 1,000 homes, which is just like a huge amount of money. And so that's like the big brass ring that like they're trying to get. Also, Andrew Garfield starts to think of he actually thinks of a way, he kind of like cracks the code on like how to get this deal. And it's basically like just super illegal scamming shit where they're just like
Break into all the...
Yeah, they're just like taking out stoves and like, you know, all the appliances of houses and then just charging the government for it and then putting them back in. The same kind of grift they had going before, but it's like even more like amped up or something. And then there's this scene where he gets confronted at the motel by the family that he evicted, which was kind of an intense scene, I thought. I don't know, what did you think of that?
I thought it was like a turning point for Nash, because I think up until that, like, he like still had moments where he was trying to be good, but I think at that point he had just fully accepted that, like, no, I want to try to make this what he was like entitled to, or it was possible for him to make like $600,000 or something at that point.
Not even. Actually, Michael Shannon says to him, like, if this whole big deal goes through, you'll make somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000.
Okay,
which is still a shitload of money, especially to someone who has nothing. But
I mean,
oh yeah, I
quit my job for 2 or 3 years, or 4 or 5 years.
I would probably do all this bad shit for that money. I'm no saint.
I mean, I'm really confrontational averse, so I don't know if I could actually evict people. Like, I would get to the door and just be like, so
no, but I would like move some air conditioners around.
yeah, sure.
Especially if you are just fucking the government over, I wouldn't feel bad about that at all. But so like his son is having his birthday party and like the parking lot of their motel that they're living at. And this new family that's like been obviously evicted, they've got all their belongings in their car, pull up, and you can tell Andrew Garfield recognizes the dad, who's like this big hulking circular shaped man. And so he immediately starts like trying to like walk away, but the dad character is like yelling, hey, and anyway, he just basically starts screaming like, I know you evicted me, and he's screaming it really loudly so everyone around can hear it. And Andrew Garfield is just screaming right back, like furiously, like I don't know you, you don't know me.
Yeah.
And he like plays it really well, that part, because he's like, you can tell he's upset, not just at the fact that like this guy is confronting him with this ugly truth of himself, but I mean, obviously he's like it's like embarrassing in front of his family and stuff as well. But when he's in the motel room with his mom and his son again, like he still keeps saying like, I don't know who that guy is. You know, he's like obviously lying, but it just makes him more desperate. And like we see him like look at this McMansion later, and okay, I mean, we should really jump ahead here. Him and Michael Shannon like basically all but completely closed this big deal, and it cuts to them having like a big party at his mansion, and they're just like getting drunk, and then like they have this kind of like drunk conversation outside that I thought has some good parts in it. So I'm just gonna play this last clip here.
Okay.
Anyone ever come up to you after an eviction?
Yeah, someone tried to run me off the road last year. I haven't gone out to dinner once with my wife and girls in the last 3 years without looking over my shoulder. That's why I carry this.
Sorry, it's kind of hard to hear what they're saying sometimes. He's saying that's why he carries a gun.
Yeah, he like pulls up the his pant leg.
Yeah.
To show his ankle off.
And they're like wasted at like 5 a.m. or something in this scene. Sorry, I don't remember all this dead air.
As opposed to what? Did somebody get to you?
All right, I think that's kind of important. Like, I talked over it too, but Andrew Garfield said, like, is it worth it? So, like, is the money and stuff worth like being paranoid that people are after you, because they are in a way, and people are like going to call you and scream at you and all that stuff, and you got to carry a gun everywhere. Is it worth it? And his answer is, as opposed to what? Like, sort of again, meaning like, what could I do? Should I struggle and like have like a law abiding, like, you know, moral job instead of doing what I do? But anyway, there's a little bit more.
Don't bullshit me. Someone's calling you. Or they tried to find you. So, Nash, the sun's gonna come up, and here we are. What do you think?
Think about what?
Well, you wanted to kill me once. Now you're gonna make a lot of money.
I didn't want to kill you. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here either, but I'm thankful. You know? I don't know. What could I do? You know, my dad, he killed himself pretty much.
To me, this shit's so sad.
Okay. No, sorry, I don't want to waste your booze. And he died of a heart attack. Booze, food, whatever you want to call it. Left me with my mom, my boy. As opposed to what? I gotta get out of that motel now. Gotta get into my home. I gotta get my family out of that motel, you know?
It's gotta be listed on the MLS for sale.
I need
weeks,
it.
Okay?
I need it now.
Pick another one.
Help me with it.
You got the money, buy whatever you want. There's plenty of homes in the sea. Like I said, don't get emotional about real estate, Nash. They're boxes. You listening? Big boxes, small boxes. What matters is how many you got. You're gonna have more properties than women to fill them with. You know that, right? You love your mom, you love your kid, buy them a house. Buy one for your mom, buy one for your kid, buy one for yourself. What do I care? Jesus. 100 homes.
1,000 fucking homes.
Watch out for the gators. They don't sleep. Make sure I don't roll in the water.
I left that last part in just because it's kind of funny. Sorry.
To make sure you don't.
Watch out for the
Roll into the
gators. They
water.
don't sleep. Make sure I don't roll into the water. As he's like passing out with a cigar in his mouth. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of more of just hitting home like the point of like what else should we be doing? I don't know, which is kind of fucked up, but also just like plot wise, like, so he's still just really trying to get back into their regular house, but
Yeah.
like they say, like he can't do it immediately, but he's desperate, I guess, because that guy who wants to kill him basically is at their same
I mean, I would be
motel.
desperate too. If I was in that situation, I would want to like figure out how to get out of there also.
Although
Like,
I've just thought about it now. I mean, and whatever, it's a movie, but like he could just go to a different motel and like wait
I
out
kind
the
of thought
2
about
weeks.
that too.
But instead,
And
what he
also-
oh, go ahead.
And he was making fucking, like, at the beginning, they talk about how they can't pay a security deposit on an apartment. He could just get a fucking apartment until he gets the house. That's what I thought in my head. I'm like, because after he starts, like, making $3,000 a job or whatever, I'm like, why hasn't he got an apartment yet if he's, like, waiting to buy the house? You
Or
don't have to stay at the fucking hotel.
I mean, just stay at a different one.
But I guess, like, part of that, too, is, like, maybe just not wanting his mom or whatever to know that he's making this money, you know?
yeah, but the, like, I mean, yeah, maybe. I think it's just. I think it's just one. I mean, it's a little. It's a very small logic flaw in the movie, but like, what he ends up doing is buying this McMansion, which he thinks is going to make like his kid and his mom really happy, and so he takes them there. He's like, "This is ours." It's like, it's got a pretty nice like swimming pool in the back, and I think it's like on the same lake that Michael Shannon, one of his mansions, is on, or whatever. I mean, it looks the same. But the mom is just like, this is bullshit. I know you're like evicting people. You probably evicted the people that used to live in this very house. And he protests like too much. And he's like, I earned this like fair and square. Like, this is from my hard work. And it's like, well, no, you're just scamming people like the guy who kicked you out of your house.
Yeah.
And like, I think even his son like has turned completely on him. He like doesn't want anything to do with it, even though it's like this cool, nice, big house or whatever. But
that kind of surprised me. I thought the son might be like, well, maybe it doesn't surprise me. It's just showing like loyalty from the son to like the grandmother or mom in this case. I'm sure the son thinks of the grandmother as his like mom, since the mom's out of the picture. But
yeah, I mean, also again, it could be for the sake of like just having like a tight script, because like, you could see like the kid being like, but I want to stay here, but I don't know, whatever. Like ultimately he's left alone in this big like sort of empty house, and like at one point we see him just like getting like loaded alone in the house, and like falling asleep on the kitchen floor or whatever, and it's
doing
kind of
exactly what I would be doing.
It's not he's not having a great time by this point in the movie. And actually I think so he gets, then we're at the very end now basically. There's one thing I guess we skipped over was, I mean, they have another meeting with Clancy Brown, and Michael Shannon's like, oh shit. Like there's a little snag in their plan, which is like one of the people in like the 100 homes they're trying to get is fighting it in court, and like found some technical loophole, which was like one piece of paper was like not filed or something. So they like just literally forged the document, and he asks Andrew Garfield, or not asks, he tells him, you got to go to the courthouse tomorrow and give this to the clerk or whatever. Like this is the key to everything. Like if he doesn't do this, he won't get his like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's a whole sort of dramatic scene where he's at the courthouse, and he can't bring himself to hand it over. Michael Shannon's calling his phone, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And
what are you thinking? Why haven't you given this to him? I mean, and it eventually shows the what's his name, the court clerk that he's supposed to like meet there.
Mm-hmm.
And like the court clerk's like, hey, do you work for Rick Carver?
And he's like walking away. Like it seems like he's like
trying to get away.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, I think at that point he's kind of like just like, oh fuck, what have I done? I've fucking ruined everything. Like he's like seeing this like, I don't know. I guess it's like that scene where you're just like, you see yourself and you're like, oh no, shit, I don't know. It's
yeah. I mean, at one point he's like literally like looking at the mirror, like yeah. And the other important thing is that this person that this paperwork will either like make or break is the same guy from earlier that was like stealing the water and electricity, and whose like kid is friends with his kid. And so the paperwork gets in there, and the judge immediately is just like, oh yeah, fuck you, your case is done. And basically Michael Shannon, and like the next day I guess Michael Shannon and Andrew Garfield go to evict this guy, and there's like the cops there, and the guy is like refusing to come out of the house, and basically he like breaks the window and has a gun and is like threatening everyone, and he's losing his shit, and he like almost accidentally kills his family. He like turns around and the gun goes off. I mean, no one got hurt, but so it's like this tense,
scary though, man.
yeah, it's this tense standoff, and then like ultimately Andrew Garfield is like, this is all wrong, like this is completely fucked up, like I'm responsible for this, like me handing that piece of paper over is like causing this to happen, and he just walks up to the guy and like with his hands in the air, and like he just says like I forget the word, whatever. He's just like, we scammed you. Like we put like a fraudulent document in your file. So like all of this can like go away basically. And so like, the guy puts down the gun and like, they take him away or whatever. But, so that's basically the end of the movie. But then there's like a final thing where these guys who I assume are some sort of law enforcement, maybe FBI, I guess, or probably FBI, right? I don't know. They're just like guys in suits.
I thought they were FBI. I wasn't 100% sure on that, but
Either
I was wondering why they were
regular
there,
cops,
because like he admits to it on the lawn where he's like, "Hey, I fucked you," right?
Yeah, he admits to a crime on the lawn, but
I guess they. I was going to say I don't know why they showed up, but that's because I'm a fucking idiot. They showed up because there was a guy shooting at cops.
No. I don't think that's what it was.
Really?
Yeah, because
I don't think
they're not like SWAT team guys. They were just like FBI. They were like cops or FBI.
They were just there to like investigate Carver, because like I
think
felt
they had probably just been investigating them for a while. Because they've been doing this scamming shit forever. Or, Michael Shannon has been.
Yeah.
So I think it was just like a coincidental thing. In any case, like, it's kind of like, I think it's strongly implied that Michael Shannon's going to be punished for all of his scamming. And Andrew Garfield will be as well. Probably not as badly, but they're getting what's coming to them is the way I felt the ending was. Too. And yeah, there is that moment where Michael Shannon, he is very, very good at telegraphing like rage, but like without actually showing it on his face. You know what I mean? Like, so he's like trying to look like stay sane and like not lose his temper or whatever. And he like he pats Andrew Garfield on the shoulder and says, "Good job, kid," like with his like teeth clenched, and like he pats him just a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
And like what he's saying is, "Fuck you, you just ruined my life." Because like he knows exactly what's going on.
I had this moment that I thought that he was like
actually grateful to him.
Not grateful, that's not exactly what I mean, but like, yeah, I guess grateful.
Like maybe he was like relieved, like he won't like have to do this dirty business anymore.
Yeah,
I think he's too far gone for that.
You think he's too far gone for it?
Yeah.
I guess he is. It's just like part of me feels like maybe he was
because he's so like,
I mean, but it is a really like shitty thank you, come to think of it.
Yeah, I mean, I took it as like as insincere as like, because he's in front of the FBI people, he's not going to be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" So instead, he's like saying it in this coded way of like, "Though, thanks for fucking over my life, what you just did right now by yelling out the fraud that we've done to all these people standing around, and I can see you talking to these obvious like." Law enforcement figures, and it ends with Andrew Garfield like sitting in the back of a squad car. So I mean, yeah,
that's true.
They're all going to jail, and they say to Michael Shannon like, "We need to like have a word with you," which you know what that means. But
that's true, and I guess like, Nash does like admit to everything kind of there at the end. Not 100%, but part of me was like,
It's
I
implied
thought
that
it was
he's
ambiguous
going to,
too,
I
because
think.
like part of me is like, is the thank you just because he's a hero, because like they can play it off as a lie in court that they didn't fuck around with the county clerk, and that he got the guy who was evicted from his house trespassing and shooting at cops to come out peacefully by lying to him, and maybe the FBI agents are taking him off to give him a pat on the back.
I don't think that's what it was.
I mean, part of my brain is like, oh god, the world's really fucked up, because the reason they don't cut to the ending is like, you get the hope that maybe they're going to be punished, but maybe they're really just going off to be, good job de-escalating that situation.
No, I think the whole him just like when he, because they're hiding behind a car, and then Andrew Garfield's like, fuck it, and he just gets up and he walks towards the guy with the gun, and that fuck it is basically saying, I'm done with all of this, like I'm willing to go down for all of this. And when you yell out like the specific crime that you did, like he says, I put a fraudulent document in your file, and like everyone's around to hear him say that. And like when the FBI, whatever they are, talk to him, like you can see he's not he's willing to cooperate is like what all the body language was telling me, at least. And I think we're supposed to take away that they're going to be punished.
Okay,
but I don't know, maybe not. I mean, I guess it's not totally ambiguous, but it's not totally literal ending either. But I was going to say also that the director in an interview said that the Clancy Brown character was based on a real guy who did like huge, who did real, like just enormous scamming and stuff, and like, evicting people and all the stuff we see in the movie, and was never punished. He he has like 6 mansions, and he sold his company to like some Chinese conglomerate, and like just zero repercussions, which is like, I mean, we've been not really dancing around it, but
surprise me at all, to be honest.
No, me either. I mean, and that's like that's the story of all of this shit, is like, I mean, I pulled up a bunch of articles, but like we don't have time to go into it, but like basically, like, I mean, the lesson of 2008 and all that followed was like, the criminals will always win and the victims will be punished the hardest. I mean, that's just what happened, and it could have been otherwise. Like, that's the thing, like Obama, like apologists and shit, like just don't want to face up to or deal with, is that they just rejected the idea of putting a moratorium on evictions. They could have done it. And instead, like the little things they tried to do to help your average Joe six-pack was like giving banks more fucking money to incentivize them to like trickle down and like go easier on the people that got fucked. I mean, I know I'm using a lot of technical speak right now, but like, I mean, all this stuff is very complicated, but it's also like kind of very simple at the same time. Like it really is just like people like robbing other people. And then, it involves like complicated financial mechanisms and shit. But like at the end of the day, it's people like, it's just like armed robbery, except, it doesn't look the same. And it's for a lot more money than you could ever get in an armed robbery. Yeah. So that's 99 Homes. Strong recommend. Really good movie.
I don't know if I'm ready to watch it again. I don't have the same fortitude as you to just like rewatch a movie. Man,
I did it for the podcast. I wouldn't have done it otherwise, but
it really got into my head. I was like kind of worried last night when I sat down to watch it. I was like, do I really want to watch a movie right now? Because I have a hard time like making myself actually sit down and watch a movie, which I'm not sure why. Because like I mentioned before, I can watch TV like endlessly.
Just
the movie for some reason.
You just gotta trick your brain into thinking it's
TV
4
show.
episodes of a TV show.
Yeah, I should probably just start doing that.
And then you should immediately go watch Dark Places or Dark Crimes. What the fuck?
I was gonna say I've seen every episode of Dark. No, I've not seen every episode of Dark Places.
What is Dark Places?
It's like a 70s horror soap opera from Britain, I think.
Uh,
I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm thinking of something else.
yeah, I was just remembering that terrible Jim Carrey movie again.
There's also, what was it? Dirk McGurk's Dark Places? Is that what it's called?
Who?
Doesn't matter. Stupid, not Dirk McGurk. I'm confusing two things.
Coach McGurk from Home Movies?
What am I thinking of? Actually, I might
Dirk
recommend it if I can
McGurk.
I fuck up names so much. Now, I want this to be my recommendation now that I'm thinking about it.
What?
Oh.
Dark Place?
Garth Mingies. Garth Mingies.
Dirk McGurk. Close.
Where did I get Dirk McGurk as Dark Mingies? That show's amazing. Did you ever watch it? I guess it's from England originally, but they played it on Adult Swim for a while. Fucking loved it.
Oh, no, I don't know that.
You'll rarely meet men who have written more books than they've read. I'm one such man. That's the character's tagline.
I like the tagline. It's intriguing.
Would you recommend the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I am. It's my official recommendation is this movie. I also partially recommend the terrible movie I was talking about. I guess I'll put it in at the beginning. The Jim Carrey movie, Dark Crimes. But it is just a curio, an oddity, and it is very bad. Is this have we ever recorded this late before?
I don't think so. This is by far the latest we've been recording. I just realized how long we've been recording.
Yeah.
A long time.
That's cool. I mean,
That's cool.
We'll do some little bit of editing here and there.
Yeah.
I guess we should just call it a night then, unless you got any
I've got one
final
more
thoughts.
tidbit. Do you think Obama handled it well?
I think I said no pretty clearly what I thought about that.
But is it his fault that he didn't handle it well, or is it the Bush administration? Because I've heard arguments before that he had no choice, that his arms were tied behind his back, and he couldn't do any better.
No, I don't think that's true. I mean, like, if of course I should have expected it would take as long as it did to go through the movie chronologically, but I kind of thought we would have time to go over these other things, but we don't.
I mean, we could always talk about houses at a future date.
Yeah, we should talk about this at a future date.
Because it looks like a similar crisis is on the horizon.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't read into a lot of that, but I did pull up some headlines that were saying, like, I guess houses are going into foreclosure again, that people are having problems taking rent, just like there was a global pandemic all year, and some people had trouble finding work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I said this when we were recording or not, but, like, there's, like, the federal eviction moratorium ends in 12 days from now.
Yeah, we were talking about it at the beginning of the episode. I don't know if that was during the recording or not either.
I don't know. I can't remember. But, no, Obama did not handle it well. I mean, here we go. This is from 2010. A very short news item. White House rejects foreclosure moratorium. Yeah, it just, the administration said that if they didn't allow these houses to be foreclosed on, it would hurt the economy, basically. But it's okay to give, $1 trillion to the very banks and lenders and businesses and fucking gamblers that created the entire economic crash.
Yeah, of course that's okay.
Remember, I remember just like immediately after that, it was like all these companies like taking like big corporate retreats and just like giving like big bonuses, end of the year bonuses and shit. And like, this was just taxpayer money. While meanwhile, like shit that we saw in this movie was going on like every day, probably thousands of times a day across the country. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think there's no question that the whole situation is completely uneven fuckery, to say the least. But yeah, maybe we'll go more detail about it on another episode. But yeah, I think like this movie should be more well known, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, I remember putting it on my queue on like Netflix, like probably like 4 or 5 years ago, because I saw Michael Shannon's face and I read the like one sentence
and
synopsis.
you're like, I should watch this sometime, and then never got around to it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things of like stupid like Netflix brain where you're like, I can't decide anything. It's really like a overplayed like observation or whatever, but like it's such a real thing that, and I hate it, that I think I've found a way to get past it. Maybe not 100%, but just feel like such an idiot when you scroll through Netflix for like 40 minutes and don't watch anything.
Oh yeah, I often do too.
But it's weird how it's such a universal experience for people too. Yeah.
Well, I think they design it that way. They want you to scroll as long as possible. That's also why all websites are endless now. But that's like that's a whole nother subject of just like design, where they just want things to feel endless so that you're just like constantly
that's interesting.
just like stuck by choice.
I never thought about it like that. That is interesting. We should talk about that later too. All right. Well,
all right. Let's
we've mentioned 2 things we should talk about in the future.
Right. My recommendation, if anyone cares about my recommendation, is Garth McGinnis' Dark Place, which is amazing. And visit our website and leave us a comment, please.
Oh, right.
On Reddit.
And we have a Twitter account at Heat Death Pod. You're getting good at remembering to do that. I never fucking remember, man. Cheers.
Oh yeah, and if you made it this far, I mean, you don't have to, but you could leave us like a review on whatever podcast app you use. Those are awesome. So
yeah, that would
we'd
be
like
nice. That. Help us.
Nice reviews or mean reviews or whatever you can do. You don't have to. I understand if you're busy.
It's just gonna turn into like, please. Please.
I'm busy too. Kind of busy all the time, but not busy. That's the modern world, right?
Mm-hmm. And if you don't contact us or leave reviews, good. That'll make us hungrier. Will make us try to make the podcast better or good at all, depending on your position. Anyway, we've tried to say goodbye like 16 times now. I think this has got to be the one.
Yes. Goodbye, Joshua. Thank you for this conversation. Goodbye, listeners.
Good conversation.
Goodbye, world.
Good movie. Goodbye, world. Bye.
Bye.
It's puzzling. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before.